qualifications to be Speaker of the House?
Well, look, I think my colleagues, they recognize my leadership, and they've seen it in many leaps and bounds,
Can you
even
give specifics?
in one term. Secondarily, I've served before at the state level, now here at the federal level.
What were your
Third,
specific qualifications to be Speaker?
I actually understand budgets. I understand what the long-term ramifications
what
are
are
for our
what is the
country.
job of the Speaker?
Fourth,
Hold on a second. We have to have a conversation.
I'm trying.
Joy Reid's liberal puppet masters called her out to tell Byron Donalds, you better get your butt back on the right side of the fence, boy. Welcome back to the Biblical Conservative channel, where we come against the anti-God, anti-human, anti-biblical, anti-Christian, anti-American spirit that's looking to prevail in this land. So last night, Byron Donalds went on Joy Reid's show, the Reidout, and they had a very spicy discussion. I wouldn't say conversation, because every time he tried to talk, Joy Reid would cut him off or wouldn't let him finish what he had to say.
What were your qualifications to be Speaker of the House?
Well, look, I think my colleagues, they recognize my leadership, and they've seen it in many leaps and bounds,
Can you
even
give specifics?
in one term. Secondarily, I've served before at the state level, now here at the federal level.
What were your
Third,
specific qualifications to be Speaker?
I actually understand budgets. I understand what the long-term ramifications
What are
are for our
what is the
country.
job of the Speaker?
Fourth,
Hold on a second.
I'm
We have to have a
trying
conversation.
I'm trying.
What is
You're
the
cutting me off
hold
before I
on?
can
What is
give
the
you an
job of
answer.
Speaker? Can you explain what the job of Speaker is? Because the
course.
job of Speaker doesn't have to do every single member of Congress
I know.
has served in. Okay, what is the job?
The job of the Speaker of the House, number one, is to actually make sure that the Congress is operating on time. It largely sets the agenda for the conference. For the entire House of Representatives. It actually engages in negotiations with the Senate and the White House on major issues, key issues. The Speaker of the House has security clearances that most members do not have. You're number three, obviously, in the line to the presidency, and there's much, much more. And the job is critical. Oh, and by the way, the Speaker of the House is also responsible for security at the
fundraising, right?
Course.
And so you've been there one term, and you're saying that you would be prepared after one term to do the job that Speaker Pelosi and others who were in leadership. You ran for leadership, and you lost that leadership race to the a congresswoman who ended up being in leadership, right? So you were not elected to leadership, but you believe that though you've never served in leadership ever, and you've only served one term, that you believe you were qualified because you got into it back and forth with a fellow congresswoman who was critical of the nomination because it definitely looked like they were looking for a response to Hakeem Jeffries in you.
No, that was not any.
Because you've literally been there for one term. So you've never been in leadership. I'm asking you the question.
I'm answering.
That's what,
Am I allowed to
and the
answer?
reason I'm asking that, I'm just going to ask you this
All right,
question, is one of the things that, I don't know that you said it, but members have said, is that they wanted to highlight the diversity of the conference. There are 4 African-American members in the House caucus, the Republican caucus. There are 56 members in the Democratic caucus. So it's more diverse. There are more African-American members that are House committee ranking members. They're at the same number that are actually members of the entire Republican House caucus. Right. So do you not believe that the idea was to make a diversity statement by nominating you?
Well, actually, first, that was not the idea. Because I was in the room when the decision was made by people who chose to nominate me. That never came.
And you've still not explained how you were qualified. You've never been in leadership.
Joy, are you going to let me answer your question?
Sure,
or do you
tell
want
us.
to talk over me? Okay. Number 2, now let's go back. The reality is that a lot of members actually do believe in my ability to lead. They do. Am I to be despised for my youth because I've served one term when members know that I have the ability to engage other members through the conference? But it's even bigger than that. Listen, we were at an impasse last week in our speakership elections. We got that done. Kevin McCarthy is now Speaker of the House. At the same time, I was working with members on both sides of our conference to make sure that we can get the job done, and we did. And that's the only thing that matters.
You have to understand something. See, Byron Donalds and people like myself, we are a threat to this 1619 narrative, this progressive liberal narrative that America is fundamentally racist, that black people can't get ahead in America, that everything is stacked up against black people, in particular black men, that we cannot make it in America. That is not the result of decisions that we make. It's not the result of the way that we're living our lives. It's not the result of the fact that God has been driven out of the black community. No, it's because of something that happened back in 1619. That's the reason why black people at large are below the standards of other groups. That's why black people, black children are not learning like they should. It's not because parents don't value education in the black community. It's been not because there are a lot of children growing up without fathers in the home. It's not because there's a lack of emphasis on education or knowledge or intellectualism in the black community. No, it's because of racism. It's because of the 1619 Project. But see, when you come with truth, when you come with biblical truth, when you come with facts, then they can't refute it. So they try to move on or try to deflect or just say, no, that's not true. No, that's not true. You saw how many times Joy Reid tried to do that. And the thing they like to do is like to paint black conservatives, people that are conservative, that happen to have black skin, they love to paint us as tokens. They tried to make Byron Donalds seem as if the Republicans nominated him as a token. Now, I will admit, tokenism does happen, and especially tokenism is happening when you look at these commercials. Why all of a sudden there's so many black people being represented in these commercials? That's not progress. Progress is not having a lot of black people in your commercials. Progress is when the people making the commercials are black. Somebody will get that. That's when progress is made. Progress is not dependency upon the government. Progress is dependence upon God and letting him use you to progress and become wealthy based upon his word. That's progress. Not the progress that the progressives and the liberals want to sell black people. But too many black people have bought that lie. They bought that victim mentality. We are not victims. We are empowered for greatness. So the liberal puppet masters, they had to go tell Joy Reid, you have to get Byron Donalds back in his place. He is destroying our narrative. You must debunk everything that man is saying. Because if people listen to him, then they're going to wake up and say, oh, I have agency. I can do things on my own. I don't have to depend upon the white man to achieve. The white man's not holding me down. I am not oppressed. I am an individual. I am a man. So therefore, I can make decisions on my own, irrespective of what the government wants me to do. But see, that does not fly for the liberal, progressive, Marxist, socialist, communist puppet masters. They have to keep black people believing that they are victims in order to continue to steal from them, in order to continue to pilfer them, to plunder them. They have to continue to do that. And in order to do that, you have to have mouthpieces like Joy Reid perpetuate that. They have to call a black woman out to tell that black man to get in his place. That's why they call Joy Reid out. They have to have a black woman speak to that black man and tell him he's out of place. That's the age-old trick that the liberal progressives use in order to silence men, especially black conservative men. But we will not let that happen anymore because we will not be silent. We are not victims. We are empowered for greatness.